is HTC's one and only one. No wait, hold on. They had one last year, then the One X, then the One XL, the One Max. Okay, let me just try that again. Hey, what is going on everyone? In this video, I've been doing a review of the HTC One 2014 edition, also simply known as the HTC M8. Starting off with the design, except for the screen itself, 90% of the body is covered in aluminum, which HTC prides himself on, which they should because it looks pretty elegant, but that's probably the reason why the phone weighs a bit much at 160 grams. Not only that, there are two front-facing speakers, and of course that makes the phone a little large for a 5-inch screen phone at 146.4 by 70.6 by 9.4 millimeters. However, on the left and right back edges, it is a bit curved, so it makes it not too difficult to grip the phone itself. The only time grip is a problem is when you take the phone out of your pocket because the sides are metal, which makes it a little bit slippery. It would have been nice if HTC put some plastic or rubber on the edges. Now, a lot of people might be wondering why is the HTC logo taking up so much space, considering that these control buttons are now software based. Well, actually, HTC has said that they need that extra room for a lot of circuitry and other important parts. That's why they had the HTC logo still there. Overall, however, the device itself looks rather elegant and well made, especially considering that it's metal and not plastic all around. Most importantly, it's comfortable to hold when making a phone call, of course. I do wish that the power button was located on the right side instead of the top, considering how tall this device is. It's a bit hard to reach with one hand. On the bottom of the device, you have a micro USB port for charging and connecting to your computer, and of course a 3.5mm jack, which you connect to headphones or a stereo system. Over on the left is a tray in which you can eject and insert a nano SIM card. And over on the top, you'll notice that that's where the power button is located, but it's not aluminum. That's because that's where the IR blaster is located in order for you to use as a remote control for your TV, and has worked on every smart TV in my house and it works fantastically. And as a bonus, in the Sense TV app, I'm able to input my cable networking information, and now I have a TV guide on my phone. By selecting a program, I can directly change to that channel quickly. And over on the right side, we have the volume rocker and the micro SD card slot, which supports up to 128GB of external storage. As for internal storage, it comes in an option of 16GB or 32GB. And on the back, we have the dual rear cameras and of course the dual LED flash. The 4-megapixel camera on the rear is referred to HTC's ultra pixel camera, which doesn't really mean anything special. It just basically lets in more light in low lighting situations, which is a good thing. However, because it's only 4 megapixels, you're sacrificing a bit of sharpness and clarity compared to competitive smartphones. So the camera on this device is decent, but nothing too spectacular to boast about. In terms of picture taking, this smartphone has the fastest picture taken I've ever seen. For example, here you go. Done. Done. Now in this part of the segment, you'll have to excuse the amount of wind blowing because I can't help it, but what you're hearing and seeing is fully recorded with the HTC M8, not with my DSLR camera. Then of course there's dual camera recording, which is the front and rear cameras at the same time. You can also do this to take a picture. Although you'll notice that even though I'm not even shaking my hand that much, but the image is shaking a lot. That's because, unlike last year's HTC One, HTC has removed the optical image stabilizer because they couldn't fit it in, which is kind of unfortunate. So when you're recording videos, you must have a very steady hand. Although with the front-facing image, you can also expand, and of course move around the screen. Come on, catch me. Go ahead. Try ahead. Oh, almost had me. Nope. The camera app itself is fantastic. It has a lot of features and is very simple and easy to use. Not only that, it also includes plenty of manual control options. The rear camera records in 1080p at 30 frames per second. However, there's an option to turn on 60 frames per second recording in 1080p, but you must activate this every single time you open the camera app. Furthermore, there's no 4K recording on this device. Zoe video recording mode allows you to record a low quality video, but the trade-off is that you get to go frame by frame and select which image you want to save. But where the dual camera shines is basically in certain effects, like the 3D orientation, which allows you to give a 3D effect while tilting the phone in certain directions if the picture is taken properly, of course. Another dual effect is the ability to add a blurry effect like a DSLR camera after the picture has already been taken, although it can sometimes look a little artificial. And lastly, you have the option to record in slow motion in 720p and video in HDR mode. Now, the cameras on the rear aren't the greatest. Sometimes they're undersaturated or overexposed, but where they really shine is their dual effect for 3D animation effect, and of course the DSLR mimicking of blurring the background or foreground of your picture. While the camera app itself has a lot of editing functions and fun features, don't forget about the gallery. The gallery itself has a very clean UI, very easy to use, and a lot of video and photo editing effects. One is of course Zoe, which allows you to select certain pictures and videos, and it will automatically compile them into a Zoe video, which basically highlights them. You can add your own soundtrack or preset soundtracks included in the phone, and of course special color grading effects. As you can see, mine is more of a reddish tint is what I selected, and it works pretty good, and you can share it on your social networks. And lastly, on the back we have the secondary microphone, which is basically used to help cancel noise while making a phone call. And over on the front of the device you have the 5 megapixel front facing camera, and the front facing camera is pretty clear, which is great for those annoying people that like to take duck face selfies and post it on social networks. While the dual rear cameras are 4 megapixels and the front-facing camera is 5 megapixel, it's not as good as the rear cameras. But hey, it does a respectable job of selfies, and of course, it does a slightly better job when it comes to video chatting, say on Skype for example, compared to most other smartphones. As for the gorgeous screen on the front, it's a 5-inch Super LCD 3 capacitive touchscreen with 16 million colors and a resolution of 1080 by 1920 with an approximate PPI of 441, and of course is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 3. The screen on this device is extremely sharp and amazingly clear, and it just works phenomenal, especially with high resolution photos and 1080p videos. And as you would expect from a screen like this, it also has some pretty respectable viewing angles. On a phone this large, I'm actually a little disappointed at the LED notification light. It's a little difficult to see. Within the top speaker grill is the earpiece for a phone call, and of course the microphone is in the bottom speaker grill. And not forgetting that this is a phone, it has some pretty good phone call quality. Now it's time to talk about the dual front-facing speakers. Alright, so what I'm going to do is a speaker test. What I'm basically do is turn the phone on to its maximum volume. I'm going to play a video from my YouTube channel. Actually, the video is an unboxing of the very same M8 that you're seeing a review on. I'm just going to let it play and we'll see how far the volume can travel. On this video I'm doing an unboxing of the HTC One 2014 edition, aka the HTC M8. Okay, so let's get straight to the unboxing. Now in case you want to see like a review of this device, a smartphone rather, I'll put a link to the review. So I just said I'm going to put a link in to the review, video description. So I'm hearing everything crystal clear. This is by far the loudest smartphone I've ever used, easily. Considering that there are 2 front-facing speakers, it's no surprise that this is the loudest smartphone I've ever used. And of course the sound is better amplified with software from HTC called Boom Sound, which amplifies bass, tones, mid-tones, and all that other good stuff. Of course, it's always on no matter what. The only way it can be turned off is when you plug in a headphone, for example, but I suggest leaving it on. Inside is 2 gigs of RAM and a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 quad-core processor, 2.3 GHz, and an Adreno 330 GPU. This, of course, makes it a absolutely amazing performance device for gaming or multitasking. It handles everything with absolute ease. Inside is a 2600 milliamp non-removable battery, which is unfortunate considering that this device is not water or dust resistant. Besides that, the battery life itself is pretty good. On 2.5 days I had 2.5 hours talk time and about 2 hours of random phone usage, which includes YouTube and all that other good stuff, so even the speakers are running and it lasted a fair amount of time. Even better about the battery is that there's a software option available in which you can conserve power. It's a power saving mode, which basically lowers brightness, CPU power, and all the other good stuff. In terms of connectivity, you have the usual LTE, Wi-Fi, 802.11a, b, g, and c, Bluetooth 4.0, NFC chip. But what's annoying about the NFC chip is that when it's turned on, it displays this annoying N in the notification area, which is bizarre because stock Android on Nexus devices doesn't display that. It's kind of annoying. Out of the box, the device comes with Android 4.4.2 KitKat with HTC Sense version 6 skin overlay. I'm really liking HTC Sense 6 because it's not cluttered. It's very much like stock Android. Going to the right is your regular home screen pages, and swiping all the way to the left brings up Blink Feed, which is an HTC app which basically displays your social network updates and news article updates. Of course, it depends on what you select to show in Blink Feed. Thankfully, pressing the home button doesn't take you to your Blink Feed, it takes you to your main widget screen. The app drawer is up and down swiping, not your traditional left to right. The quick setting tiles can be customized to whatever you want. You can rearrange them, you can remove them or add more. And most importantly, the main system settings menu is very easy to navigate and not a cluttered mess. Then there's a fantastic kid mode. When you select profiles, if you select kid mode, it basically locks the phone into a child mode. Basically, this allows your children to not be able to access any other function of the phone. For example, if I start tapping the home button, they can't exit. The only way you can exit is if you enter your year of birth, or you can customize that code if you want. Thankfully, in the app drawer, there's an app called Parent Dashboard, which really allows parents to really customize kid mode just the way they want and which apps are accessible in kid mode. A neat feature is called gesture wake up commands, which basically takes gestures to wake up the phone. For example, swiping from the bottom bezel up will unlock the screen and wake it up at the same time. Now, this is kind of cool, but it has some problems. You see, you can only enable all of them or disable all of them. You can't select which ones you want to use, customize. And the reason I say that is because sometimes I'm putting the phone in my pocket and I'll accidentally wake up the device without me wanting to. So I have to give the M8 a 8.5 out of a 10. And well, basically breaks down to this. It's 90% aluminum apart from the screen, but it's not just a slab of metal that HTC put together. It's well crafted, well made. The screen itself is excellent with great viewing angles, very sharp, of course. And not only that, the greatest strength of this phone is the two front-facing speakers, which is facing the user. And they are the loudest speakers on any smartphone I have ever used. So take that into regard. If you're playing video games a lot, or if you want to watch videos a lot on your smartphone, this is the smartphone to get. Don't look anywhere else. Just get this phone. Not only that, the dual camera effect on the rear, well, they provide some pretty cool, unique features. While they're not the greatest because they can seem kind of artificial, like the DSLR mimicking blurring effect, it does a pretty respectable job, and I expect HTC to improve on that in the near future. Overall, it's a pretty solid device worth checking out, although, again, talking about the cameras, the dual cameras, in terms of general sharpness and clarity, you can look elsewhere. This is not the sharpest camera you can get. It does perform pretty well in low lighting situations, but again, it's kind of stuck in between being, well, underwhelming at times because sometimes it's overexposed or just very grainy and not sharp, and sometimes it'll just look okay for picture and video quality. So take that into regard. But again, if you want to check out some sample videos and pictures taken with this phone, in fact, I'll upload a video directly from the phone to the internet unaltered. You can find links to those videos in the video description. You can find like a gaming demo and all that other good stuff in the video description as well. And in fact, if I can find a way to root and unlock the bootloader for this device, I will put a link to that video in the video description as well. Again, if it is possible, so be sure to check them out. So if you found this video useful, be sure to check out my Facebook, Google+, Twitter links also in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.